Hello, Wouter. Can you quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, Lawrence. Yes, I can. I'm Wouter Lutin, and I'm the faculty advisor and one of the team coaches of the Formula Electric Belgium Formula student team.
Yeah, and I'm Lorenz van Damme. I'm an electronics engineer from the Formula Electric Belgium race team.
Yeah.
So today we're going to have a conversation about your experiences as a race engineer and as a team coach, and it will be put out on video and as an audio podcast.
Okay.
So can you tell us something about your experience with Formula Electric, because you have been engaged with the team for a long time?
Yeah, I've actually been involved. I think this year will be the 10th year that I'm involved with Formula Student. As in the very beginning, I think it was 2008, I was involved as a student when we were looking at the possibility of starting up a Formula Student team.
Yeah.
And then in 2009, 2010, I went abroad in England to study, and there I was involved with a Formula Student team with Oxford Brookes Racing.
Because there are a lot of Formula Student teams in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. And then I came back to Belgium, and then from then on, I was involved as a coach in the Formula Student team at our home university.
Okay. And so you were part of the team yourself as a student first, and then afterwards as alumni, you remained active?
Well, yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to start working with the university and the university college. And there I got offered the role of supervising the project from the side of the faculty, and this way I was able to be involved until up to date. So I saw the team growing throughout all those years.
So you actually became the team coach almost immediately after you left.
After I started teaching in the university college at Thomas More, I from the beginning I combined it with working with KU Leuven University. And through that collaboration, I was able to fulfill the role as team coach and faculty advisor.
I knew you were a team coach for quite a while, but I didn't know you immediately started after you were a team member yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And what motivates you to do this?
Well, I get a lot of joy out of it as I'm able to see from the front row how the car evolves. And as I said before, there has been a great evolution from 10 years ago until up to date. Not only if we look at all the innovations that have been put in the designs, starting from a aluminum space frame up to a full carbon monocoque today.
If you see all the cars one after another, they're remarkably different.
Yeah, exactly. And the nice thing is that I also know and have seen what has gone into the cars, all the effort that all the students have put in them, and not only the innovations, but also the team structure has changed. And the team has grown, has evolved. After a couple of years, we merged two teams together to have a big team. I also saw this take place. And it gives me real joy to every year work towards delivering the car and to see how these students give their everything to manage it and to get a better result than the year before.
That's the impression I also have of seeing it now back in a few years. That almost every year is a step taken in professionalism.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And on one side, it's obligatory because the competition demands that you put in new innovations, but otherwise it's also a characteristics of this team that they really want to evolve and they really feel like, okay, we have to make another step and take it to a higher level.
Yeah, the amount of Formula Student teams compared to 10 years ago in Europe also has grown.
Yes.
So you have to do a lot of effort to stay somewhere near the
exactly.
front half.
And also in the electric and alternative series of the Formula Student competition, because in the beginning there were only combustion teams, and then we were there from in the beginning with electric transmission. And first ever built car was a combustion one, but then directly we went to electrical drive because the team saw that that was the future, and that is still what we're working on today.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting innovations in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, not only in the battery pack or the choice of engines. 1 year the students designed their own electromotors, but also in how to make the drivetrain as efficient as possible and how to connect it with the dynamics of the car, torque factoring, you name it.
One of the interesting areas of the car, I think, in where the electromechanics and the electronics come together.
Yeah.
Because in the chassis you've got a bit less, or in the safety mechanisms it's also mainly electronics, but in the powertrain they really have to work together to be efficient and to get the best results.
Yeah, and that's also something that I saw evolving as a team coach. You have several students who have their own interests, and now every type of interest can be applied to the car, because even if you're only an electronics engineer or a mechanical engineer, they're needed in the car and all those systems. So it's very nice to see how they all collaborate to build one functioning car.
Yeah, and so you've got a lot of talk now about collaboration. You're a race engineer yourself. What exactly do you do? I suppose there's a lot of collaboration as well. Collaboration is also an important part there.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the main thing that's the same with Formula Student and with any other race series. It's a team effort. And whether you're in Formula 1 or in GT3 or in Formula Student, you're all working together. And the car or the team is as strong as the team that's surrounding it. So that's a similarity that I clearly see between both. What I do in racing, on one side, I'm a data engineer, which means that I have to acquire or get all the data out of the car, analyze this data and check if the car is okay, and combine this with the driver data, giving feedback to the driver to see how he handled the car, how the car is reacting, if it's understeered, oversteered, what the balance is of the car. That's one big part. On the other part, the race engineering that I do means setting up the race car, giving the right setup for the right driver for the right circuit, and communicating with the driver during the race. Telling him when to come in, fuel strategy, tire strategy, and I do this on a freelance basis, and I have been doing this since 2012 now, I was fortunate to start working with the Mercedes SLS AMG GT3, now with the AMG GT GT3, and the big difference is that it's a fixed package, and I and the team have to try to make it as fast as possible, adapted to the circuit, to the conditions, and to the driver, while you guys, you're building a car from scratch.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. You say, I use the data, and then you can adjust your setups for the drivers. It's a very short cycle because you use the data from the one track on the same track.
Exactly.
And from one driver on the same driver. Well, we do also kind of the same. We collect a lot of data, but we use it more in the development of the next car.
Exactly, yeah. That's quite different with what I do. When I get data, the first time I get data during a race weekend is during free practice. With that data, if the conditions are similar, we adapt the car for qualifying, and then we change it again for the race. While you guys, you have one shot in building a car that's perfect for all the season. But luckily, you also build in possibilities in the suspension to change the setup. So then again, that is the same. Feedback is important, not only feedback from the driver, but also feedback within the team. What can we do better? Where can we improve? Where can we be faster? And with you guys, you're building a car, so also from last year and the other teams, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and also a lot of experience that already is there. So.
Yeah, this is the 10th year that there's a car being built, so that's quite a lot of experience and a lot of examples of what not to do, and what ways are the best ways of...
Something, as a team, you do notice if you have 10 years of alumni to carry you a bit, that makes a lot of difference.
Exactly, yeah. And that's also in my role as a team coach and faculty advisor, very nice to see that I meet students again after a couple of years. When we do an alumni event, you see them again, and when they tell where they ended up, it's very nice to hear and to see what the Formula Student project brought them.
It's very diverse at the end of it.
That's true. Yeah.
From the ones I know, it's indeed.
Yeah.
So, and between your GTT racing and electric racing like Formula E, is there a lot of difference in that?
Well, mainly the drivetrain is completely different, which has an enormous impact on the strategy. I'm currently still working on combustion engine race cars, which means that after a couple of laps, you have to come in for fuel. This is the same in Formula E, where they have to swap battery packs and where they also need some source of energy. So strategy-wise, there are some differences, but also similarities. But as far as the setups go, there is quite a difference between a GT car, which weighs 1,300 kilos, and a Formula car, which weighs a lot less. So the dynamics are quite different, but the team dynamics, in my opinion, I have no experience in Formula E, but I can imagine that they're quite similar.
And the process around the race weekend will also have a lot of similarities. Probably.
Yeah. But like aerodynamic effects are different, tire consumption is different, the format is also different. You have a lot more involvement of the fans in Formula E than you have in GT racing at this moment. So that all changes everything. But if you purely look at the core of racing, it's the same. We try to be as fast as possible in Formula E and in GT racing.
And we try and do that as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you have any way to carry your experience as a race engineer into mobility?
Well, as a race engineer, in any case, we try to have our car as efficient as possible. But we have a fixed package, we have a fixed engine, we have a fixed amount of fuel and type of fuel. So we're not able to really change anything on the GT race cars. So from that perspective, no, I cannot bring anything to the mobility. But in my other role as a teacher in the automotive technology department, I do see all new technologies evolving, and from that I can bring something back to the team and to mobility. I have an opinion on mobility, which is formed by all the things that I see moving in the industry at the moment.
Yeah. And you have been, as a teacher then, or a coach, we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Can you see the team contributing to mobility?
Yeah, well, what is very important, what this team is doing, is that they show that what is possible with electrical mobility. Electromotors, torque factoring, and all the systems that you're using, they already are finding their way into commercially produced vehicles. But it's very important to show people that it doesn't need to be combustion engine only. There is an alternative, and it can be electrical. The only thing that we really have to pay attention to is where is the energy coming from. And there is still a lot to discover and to gain. Battery packs are now applied on commercial vehicles, but maybe in the future it will be hydrogen that will be the carrier of the energy. But there will still be electrical drive. There's nothing more efficient than an electromotor. And there is a big difference between a combustion engine and an electrical drive, the efficiency.
Yeah, quite happy with that for our cooling.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
You have coached the team throughout, and you say indeed the cars now are more towards electric vehicles. They're changing to hydrogen maybe. Does that change the way you have to coach a team?
Not that much, but it has changed throughout the years, the focus of what should we put in the car. Most of the times the students, they have their own vision on what should be future mobility, which is very, very nice to see. But it's always, we look at what will be in the next 5 years on the market, and where can we as a team try new things or take a lead in applying new technologies that are nowadays not yet applied on
because
mass production.
10 years ago, an electric vehicle was already quite innovative of its own.
Yeah.
And now we have to, electric vehicles are everywhere. Now we have to do the things like torque factoring, the launch control.
4x4 electrical in-wheel motors, stuff like that.
The own transmissions, the innovative cooling system. Those are the things that we now make the difference with. That are the innovation.
And those ideas don't come from me as a coach. I don't tell the students what they should do, but this mainly comes from the interaction that our students have with companies. Because companies, they are looking at, we want to try this or this technology, and the formal student team is a very nice platform to try those technologies, because it's not on high speed, but it's on very tough conditions. If you have to do an acceleration, a skid pad, an endurance race, those are very hard conditions. If you succeed in applying those technologies in those conditions, it might be applicable also for normal commuting by car.
So indeed, they are tough conditions, as in they ask a lot of the car, but it's also summer. Central Europe might be quite hot. So
all vibrations and harshness problems that you might have.
They're not the smooth racetracks that most race cars have. They're often bits of the racetrack, but then with service ways in between. So it is indeed.
It's very interesting to see.
Quite a harsh environment already.
Plus, efficiency is the main key in formal student. If you have to carry more battery pack, then you have more weight, and you will be slower. So it's a real drive to be as efficient as possible.
And how do you think the professional world? We talked about the companies that support us. How do you think they look at something like formal student?
Well, if you look at, for instance, Formal Student Germany, where you have a big community of companies who not only sponsor the event, but also are active as jury at the design events, I'm really sure that the companies are looking with eagle eyes on this project, because on one hand, you have new technologies that arise from the community, and on the other hand, you have a new range of engineers who have been involved with new technologies from day one during their study career, which is super interesting for a company.
What I find interesting about the experience of being in a formal student team is also not just that you go to the entire design and production cycle of a car, but that you do the entire team. A team has an entire management structure in there. A lot needs to happen, and you also do a bit of at least everything. So you're busy with marketing, with recruitment, with we do STEM classes. So you're very wide in all the extras you do.
Well, this makes all students who participate in a formal student project or team a very complete person or a very complete engineer, because you don't only have all the hardcore technical stuff, but also all the soft skills, as you mentioned before. In a very short amount of time, you have to prove that you not only are able to design stuff, but also to bring them in practice, and then selling them to the world and to companies in a way that is very different when you're only sitting in class, for instance.
Working with companies can be quite enjoyable. A lot of them have engineers that are quite driven to see those innovations going forward, that like to help. It's a very nice environment to have a connection with a company with.
Yeah, and that's also something I've seen as a team coach during the last years. There are a lot of companies who come back every year and support the team, and I see that they have a very, very good link with their team and with their students, and it's very nice to see that they keep being engaged and motivated in supporting the team.
That's something we also try to do an effort for, because without the partners we really can't make a car.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe to close the podcast, can you give your predictions for what you think the team will do this year on the competition?
It's always difficult to see on beforehand how the team will compete in the competition. But if I look at the path that you've been doing the last couple of months, building this new car, there's no reason to doubt that again this team will make another step and get very good results on the competition. Design-wise, there are a couple of new things and tweaks, but also how should I say?
Yeah, it will be a lot more robust as
yes,
well.
yeah. The systems that we tried last year, now this year they will be fine-tuned, so there's no reason to doubt that the system wouldn't work. And on the other hand, there are challenges lying ahead, like building an autonomous car, for instance. But I'm very confident that this year this team will do a very great job at the competitions.
Yeah, I also see it quite positively. I think we will...
Have you been 2 years in the team project or 1 year?
This is my first year.
First year, yeah.
But I think we will have maybe a bit more time than last year to do testing, which will really give room for the fine-tunement.
Which is super important. If I arrive at the racetrack with a race car that's not prepared, from the beginning on, I know that the race weekend will be lost. Because you're always catching up during the free practice, during qualifying, during the races. While if you're prepared and you have had a testing period and you're able to go to a track knowing this will work and this will not work, then you gain a lot on your competition. So it's very important that the team takes the time to test all their systems and the complete car.
Yeah, there are a lot of things like torque factoring where we have a lot of factors that can make a difference, but if you can't try them out, you can't see how your system will optimally perform. Yeah,
and on one hand you have all the electronics, but on the other hand also your suspension. And the students now have built a basic suspension, which again is a quite an innovative system. So making sure that the system works is one thing, but then fine-tuning it to have the car having the best balance during skid pad or during endurance is something that you only can do by testing or simulating.
Yeah, and then it's also a work that needs to be interdepartmental, because if you change your setup of your car with the motors, the electronic differential, for example, then your suspension will also have to be taken into account. So you have to always test everything.
Yeah. It's not only during the build of the car that the team has to work together, but also on the racetrack during the competitions. I've been fortunate enough to be able to go to some of the races past years during the Formula Student competition, and it's very nice to see how everybody wants to get the best out of the car that they build together, and the team spirit that you see there, it's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to thank you for the interview.
You're very welcome.
Then I'd like to thank everybody who has listened or watched. I hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.